Your periods, your thyroid, and your mood, how they're all connected. Have your periods changed in the past few years? Maybe they've become heavier, more painful, or your mood's more unpredictable. And yet your GP tells you everything is fine. Your TSH is normal, so you're told to just wait it out, try the pill, or accept perimenopause. But what if it's not just hormones? What if your thyroid is quietly at the heart of it all, affecting how you bleed, how you ovulate, how you feel in your mind and body? Today I want to show you why this connection matters and how understanding it might finally help you feel like yourself again. Welcome to episode 20 of Beyond the Prescription. I'm Dr. Alison Grimson, GP and functional medicine doctor, and I head up women's health at Dr. Finley's private practice. Many of the women who I work with are intelligent, professional, and have done everything they've been told. They've taken their thyroid meds, they've tried HRT, they've eaten well, exercised, meditated, and yet they still don't feel right. Today we're going beyond the lab results and connecting the dots between your thyroid, your menstrual cycle, and your mood. Because these systems don't operate in isolation. They dance together, influence one another, and when one goes off key, it throws everything out of rhythm. By the end of this episode, you'll understand how low thyroid function can disrupt ovulation and lead to heavier, more painful periods, why the estrogen-thyroid relationship can cause a spiral of mood shifts, water retention, and PMS, how low T3 levels affect your brain chemistry and what to do about it, and how to nourish and restore the balance using a truly whole person root cause approach. So firstly, let's look at how your thyroid affects ovulation, PMS, and menstrual flow. Let's begin at the true center of the menstrual cycle, ovulation. Most women are taught that menstruation is the star of the show, but in reality, ovulation is the main event. It's the biological signal that your body feels safe enough, nourished enough, and supported enough to release an egg, a potential for new life. But what if your thyroid, that butterfly-shaped gland in your neck, is subtly under-functioning? Here's a deeper physiology to that. Your thyroid communicates directly with your brain's hypothalamic, pituitary, ovarian axis, or HPO axis. This trio is the command center for hormonal orchestration. When your thyroid is healthy, the HPO axis operates in smooth rhythm. But when thyroid function drops, even mildly, the hypothalamus starts interpreting that as a state of stress or scarcity. Why? Because reproduction is metabolically expensive. Ovulation, conception, pregnancy, and breastfeeding require enormous energetic investment. So if your body senses low thyroid hormone, which means low metabolic capacity, it switches to conservation mode. And the first thing to go? Ovulation. So what happens when ovulation doesn't happen? You might still bleed, your period might still appear on schedule, but biologically something's missing. Ovulation is the only way we produce meaningful levels of progesterone. And progesterone isn't just a pregnancy hormone, it's vital for mental clarity, sleep, mood regulation, and keeping estrogen in check. Without ovulation, there's no progesterone surge in the second half of your cycle. Estrogen becomes relatively dominant, leading to heavier periods, water retention, and heightened emotional reactivity. The uterine lining builds up more aggressively, and without progesterone to balance it, bleeding becomes heavier, more painful, and more clotty. And PMS symptoms worsen, not because you're oversensitive, but because you're biochemically unbuffered. And here's the kicker. This can all happen without any overt signs of thyroid disease on a basic lab panel. TSH may still fall within range. Your GP might say everything looks fine. You may even be told it's just part of aging, perimenopause, or having a stressful life. But functional testing often reveals a slow underconversion of T4 to T3, or borderline low free T3 or elevated reverse T3, all of which indicate that your thyroid isn't activating as it should. And when your thyroid isn't firing, neither is your ovary. This is why I always encourage mid-luteal progesterone testing, ideally around day 21 in a 28-day cycle, so about 7 days before your period starts. So if you have a 35-day cycle, you're looking at making it about 28 days into that cycle if day 1 is your period, the first day of your period. If your progesterone is low and your thyroid is underactive, we have a clear pathway to address. So what does this look like? What does this look like from a functional medicine lens? What we're seeing here is the body making wise decisions under stress. It's not failing, it's adapting. But adaptation doesn't always feel good. It might look like periods that wipe you out with fatigue, PMS that feels emotionally overwhelming, breasts that swell painfully each month, a sense of, I used to be more even-keeled, but now everything tips me over the edge. We don't correct this with painkillers or mood stabilizers. It's not a case for ibuprofen or fluoxetine. We correct it by restoring the upstream rhythm, and that starts with the thyroid. On a spiritual note, this interplay between ovulation and thyroid function isn't just clinical, it's deeply feminine. Ovulation is your body's monthly declaration. I am alive, cyclical, capable of renewal. When the thyroid is off, that rhythm stutters, and women feel it not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. Many of my patients say, I just don't feel like myself anymore. And that's exactly what we're reclaiming in this work, your sense of self, your rhythm, your vitality. So let's talk about the estrogen-thyroid balance. Let's talk about that dance between estrogen and thyroid hormones, a delicate relationship that can either support you or completely destabilize your hormonal ecosystem. Most women are familiar with the idea of hormonal imbalance, but very few are told that thyroid function plays a key role in managing estrogen. And even fewer are told that estrogen can interfere with thyroid hormone availability too. It's a two-way relationship. And when it becomes imbalanced, women can experience a whole spectrum of symptoms. Mood swings, weight gain around the hips and belly, tender breasts, water retention, hair thinning, bloating, brain fog that intensifies mid-cycle. Let's unpack why this happens and how you can begin to rebalance the system. So firstly, estrogen's impact on thyroid hormone availability. Thyroid hormone, especially T4 and T3, floats around your bloodstream in two forms. Bound hormone, attached to proteins and inactive, and free hormone, unbound and biologically active. Your body needs just the right amount of free T3 to access energy, regulate metabolism, and support your brain. But here's the thing, estrogen increases thyroid binding globulin, the protein that binds thyroid hormone and renders it inactive. So if your estrogen levels are too high, especially unopposed estrogen, without enough progesterone to balance it, you end up with plenty of thyroid hormone on paper, but not enough available for your cells. What we see here is enough total thyroid hormone, but the free thyroid hormone, which isn't something we often are able to measure, is not enough. It's like having a pantry full of food, but no key to open the door. Frustrating, eh? This is why women with estrogen dominance often feel sluggish, tired in the mornings, cold despite warm temperatures, foggy and forgetful, moody, especially around ovulation or before their period. Even if their TSH is normal, they're essentially living in a state of functional hypothyroidism. So what about thyroid's role in estrogen metabolism? Let's flip it around. When your thyroid is underfunctioning, particularly T3, your liver slows down. And the liver is where estrogen is detoxified and broken down into metabolites that can be safely excreted. So if your thyroid is sluggish, your liver can't clear estrogen efficiently. Estrogen starts recirculating. You build up more and more of the stimulating inflammatory types of estrogen, and you land in a state of estrogen dominance again, even if your total estrogen isn't technically high. This again can lead to breast tenderness, menstrual migraines, spotting before your period, heavy or clotty bleeds, irritability or weepiness mid-cycle. It's a hormonal traffic jam, and thyroid function is the traffic light controller. Add to this the natural shifts of perimenopause. From about age 35 onwards, and especially after 40, progesterone starts to decline. Estrogen doesn't drop in a straight line, it spikes and crashes unpredictably. And without sufficient progesterone to buffer it, those surges hit harder. You might cry during an advert, snap at a loved one, and then feel guilty all day, feel like your nervous system is fraying at the edges. And because thyroid function also slows with age, or due to stress, nutrient depletion, or post-pregnancy shifts, many women enter midlife with a perfect hormonal storm. Suboptimal thyroid, unopposed estrogen, low progesterone, leading to frayed mood, energy, and resilience. So what do we do? This is where functional medicine shines, because we don't look at hormones in isolation. We understand the networked reality of the endocrine system. Here's how I approach this clinically. Step one would be functional testing. So we do a full thyroid panel, TSH, free T3, free T4, reverse T3, and TPO and thyroglobulin antibodies. And cycle-specific hormone panel with progesterone and estrogen on day 21, or adjusted to your ovulation timing, plus Dutch Plus test, looking at stress hormones and sex hormones and their metabolism. Really important. Step two will be to support that thyroid conversion from T4 to T3. So I'd be addressing low iron, selenium and zinc, reducing inflammation and stress, and checking for underlying infections or gut imbalances. Step three is to enhance estrogen clearance. We're going to do some liver support with cruciferous vegetables, diindolyl DIM, sulforaphane and methylation nutrients. We're going to use fiber for healthy bowel movements and for work on blood sugar stability through diet and lifestyle. And then step four will be to restore progesterone. If ovulation isn't happening, we can support adrenal function and the thyroid first. And in some cases, gentle bioidentical progesterone cream can be considered under supervision. From a spiritual perspective, I often say that estrogen is the hormone of creation and thyroid is the hormone of movement. When they're out of sync, you feel stuck, full of potential, but unable to move forward. Balancing this system isn't just about labs, it's about reclaiming your rhythm, your drive, your softness, your steadiness. It's the sacred dance of the feminine endocrine system, and you deserve to feel its flow again. Next, we come to mood swings, anxiety, and thyroid-driven depression. Let's take a moment to talk about something that so many of us experience, but that's often dismissed, misdiagnosed, or misunderstood: mental health. When a woman walks into my clinic and says she feels anxious, unmotivated, flat, or like she's constantly on the edge of tears, I don't immediately reach for a mental health diagnosis. I ask, have you had your full thyroid panel checked? And I don't mean just TSH. I mean free T3, free T4, reverse T3 and thyroid antibodies. Because here's what I see time and time again: women being handed SSRIs or worse, benzodiazepines, for symptoms that are rooted in low thyroid function, not necessarily clinical depression or anxiety. Let's go deeper. Thyroid hormones influence the production and sensitivity of neurotransmitters, particularly serotonin, dopamine, and GABA. Low T3 slows serotonin synthesis, which can lead to feelings of hopelessness, sadness, overwhelm, and poor stress resilience. It also affects dopamine, motivation and reward chemical, making everything feel harder, duller, less satisfying. And when your thyroid is under-functioning, GABA, that calming neurotransmitter, may not work efficiently. So you feel more reactive, more wired, but tired. So yes, you may feel flat for most of the month and then unpredictably irritable or weepy the week before your period. And you may be told that's just perimenopause, or you're just a busy mum, or maybe you need to try some CBT. But in truth, your thyroid may be underfunctioning biochemically, energetically, and emotionally. Here are some of the exact phrases I often hear from women. I cry over things that never used to bother me. It's like the colour is drained from my life. I'm going through the motions, but nothing lights me up. I wake up feeling exhausted even if I've slept. It's not just physical tiredness, it's soul deep. I used to be motivated. Now I can't even decide what to make for dinner. These are not failures of character. They are physiological flags, and they can be traced back to thyroid dysfunction in many, many cases. Add to that the hormonal context. As we age, especially after 35, estrogen and progesterone begin to shift. Progesterone, a calming, more stabilizing hormone, and that helps the moods, drops first, often years before estrogen. And that's so important, for it actually stimulates GABA receptors as well that we've been talking about. This then creates a state of relative estrogen dominance, which increases anxiety, irritability, and sensitivity. At the same time, thyroid dysfunction slows estrogen metabolism through the liver, meaning you stay in this heightened hormonal state for longer. It's like trying to meditate in the middle of a hurricane. Your body doesn't feel safe, your mood becomes unstable, and your nervous system doesn't get a chance to downregulate. And here's what's even more important. If this pattern goes unaddressed, not only do mood symptoms persist, but the entire HbA axis becomes strained. So low thyroid leads to poor stress tolerance, leads to increased cortisol, which leads to impaired thyroid conversion. It's a vicious circle, but it's one that we can break gently, wisely, and in a way that supports your whole system. So, functional medicine solutions. This is where I take my clients beyond prescriptions and into truly transformational territory. We look at full thyroid testing, including free T3 and antibodies, neurotransmitter support via nutrients like zinc, vitamin B6, magnesium, and adaptogenic herbs, blood sugar stabilization to reduce cortisol spikes, gentle nervous system retraining, grounding, breath work, body-led healing, and deep gut work, because remember, 90% of serotonin is produced in the gut lining. So often these symptoms, the anxiety, the disconnection, the flatness, are not just about chemistry. They're your body's whisper, something's not aligned. It's your inner system saying, please listen, please slow down, please support me. Are you listening to that? And when we do, when we rebalance the thyroid, clear out the fog and nourish your hormones, your spark returns. You remember who you are. You reconnect with joy. Your nervous system exhales. And that to me is the most profound medicine. Now that we've unpacked how your thyroid interacts with your cycle and your emotions, let's move into the heart of healing, where physiology meets presence and medicine meets soul, because balance isn't just about the right lab values, it's about how you embody them. So firstly, I recommend you test, don't guess. Imagine navigating the dark without a map, or trying to mend your cycle without the right data. That's what it feels like when we rely on incomplete labs. We're intuitive women, professionals, spiritually aware, and yet so often steered by inadequate markers. For clinical depth, I recommend you begin with that full panel: TSH, free T4, free T3, reverse T3, and thyroid peroxidase.